Michael and I are having discussion about personal branding, the term, and even the term, kind of like can be off-putting to some people. And Michael, you've been saying how a lot of the people in your field, they are very strong with their personal brand. They put themselves
Mhm,
out there as them, and you have been trying to focus on the product, the service itself.
mhm.
And you're a bit shy about putting yourself up there and pushing yourself. But the thing is, yes, and you know me, I don't believe in trying to like pretend to be something that I'm not, or
Yeah.
to and I'm careful also about growing too big of an ego.
Yes, yes.
I
Yeah.
know it's inevitable that when we do social media with our own name and with our personality, yeah, and I think we do need to be careful about our own ego. I think too few influencers are aware of that, and I am very aware of. Oh my gosh, I mean, the virtue of humility is something I come back to on a regular basis to go, what does that mean for me, and how can anyway. So I admire your sensitivity around that.
Mm.
And at the same time, you also noticed, when you refer to me, the person who referred you to me say, "Oh, it's out." They really talked about my personality, etc. And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and and you also mentioned, Michael, that when you said you were trying to focus on the product, and I said, "Well, how much is the product related to working with you?" You said, "Well, it's all of it. It's your
Yeah.
personality, it's your
Yeah.
your presence that really helps the client." So it's not that we need to push ourselves, but that it's I think of it more as, oh, well, I mean, especially for your work, end of life planning is what you help people with. I think it's about your warmth and your
Mm,
care
mm,
and your willingness to, um, that's it. That's all I want to say. It's warmth
mhm.
and care and uh, willingness to be with that person instead of the faceless corporation.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
someone is buying a product from a faceless company, all they do is work with the product, and then they don't ever have somebody there. Whereas in your case, you're very willing to work with the client and be
Mhm,
the be the face of your company, because you are the face of your company. So
mhm.
so Michael, tell me what aspect of personal branding maybe feels off-putting for you, and we can find a different way around it.
I think it's this thing around ego. It's
Yes,
not that I mean I have an ego, don't get me wrong, I do. But I
we all
in
do.
the last 4 years, I've been consulting for a company that
Uh-huh.
was founded and is still run by a very strong, charismatic woman. And in fact, most of my life I've worked for women, which for some people is unusual. But I've
Yeah.
I've worked with women for most of my life, and the work that I've been in for most of my life, I was in teaching. Again, I was surrounded mostly by women, and my bosses were almost always women. So I'm used to working with women. 98% of my clientele, the people I work with, are women.
Uh-huh.
So that's what that's if I'm serving that group, and so
Yes.
that's I have to
Yes.
take that in consideration.
That's right. Yes.
Um,
Yeah,
but
it's funny.
it's yeah,
I'm also most of my students and clients are women also.
yeah,
And and I have to be like, God, there's a man leading a group of women. You got to be real careful there. I mean, a
yeah,
lot,
yeah,
many reasons. And I'm like, okay, I got to
yeah,
be really sensitive and aware of what that means and how. And so, yes,
yeah.
yeah, I'm with you
And
on
and
that.
I think I do that. I think I do that okay. Um,
Yes.
and the company I've been working for, I mean, the woman is their website is it's very much about her. She's the face of the company.
Okay.
She does a lot of
Hmm.
she's a guest on a lot of podcasts. She
Yes.
really puts her
Yes.
name, her face out there.
Yes.
It's very much about her, and even the text
Right.
for the product is it's her voice. So all
Hmm.
the text is about she speaking directly
Sure.
to
Sure.
the potential
Sure.
client.
Yeah.
Now, when I do that, I just feel, it's like I just end up ripping up my scripts. It's like me talking. It's all about me. So
Yeah.
I
Well, so
I
what
end
would
up
be the
trying to,
alternative?
yeah.
Like, what would be the alternative to that? I mean, because your product is you're creating it. I mean, I guess you could hire somebody to speak it. Is that what you mean? Or
I did spend a lot of money on somebody who wanted to do that, and I just
Okay.
was not comfortable with it,
Right.
and it
Yeah.
it just didn't work out. I
Yeah.
just didn't like it. It seemed too slick, the
Yeah.
text.
That's right.
She was a copywriter,
That's
and
right. Yes, exactly.
yeah,
That's why I appreciate some copywriters who, especially those who
yeah,
are focused on authenticity. But personally, I've just always much preferred my own voice, my own style in communication. And so, Michael, I would encourage you to think about this way. Let's say you're recording a product, and instead of hiring a voiceover actor, you're doing it yourself, and you're writing yourself, and all. Think of it as think of it from the client's point of view. What would they prefer? Would they prefer if would they prefer to know that this was somebody else, or would they prefer that this is the creator of the product?
I don't know. I mean, it's a good question to
That's a
ask
good question.
people,
So that might be a
because
legitimate question. Yeah.
because a lot of the coaches out there, the very successful coaches, they have very powerful, images of themselves. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
worked with Michael Margolis,
Okay. Great. Yeah.
a story coach, and
Yeah.
Michael is, it's all about Michael.
Sure. Sure.
He's
Sure. Sure.
he's the guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's comfortable with it. And other people I
Sure.
know, they're very, very comfortable with their name
Yeah.
being out there, with the
Yeah.
spotlight on them.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And maybe I just need to practice getting used to it.
Well,
But
I so value and appreciate your sensitivity around it, because I do feel like too many influencers don't have that sensitivity anymore. Maybe they got over it maybe a little too quickly. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
And you know what I mean? Like it is important to say it's not about me. It's about, well, what I care about. So again, let's reframe it to um, marketing and personal branding. Often say it's making friends at scale, right? So it's kind of like, sure, of course, you could work with one person at a time, and that's always, often very fulfilling for both people.
mhm,
At the same time, if you're trying to write an article or you're trying to make a video, you're not going to tell each person the same message again and again and again.
mhm,
Obviously, you're going to put something out there for 1,000 people to see it. And but can you, by doing so, put your warmth and care into that act, so that when they consume it, they sense your warmth and care. And if that is our intention, to say, I want everybody who sees this to sense um, my being with them.
mhm,
I
mhm,
want them
mhm.
to know that somebody cares about
Yeah,
them as much as I'm able to 1,000 people or whatever. I'm trying to care. I care about the product for sure. I care about the message for
mhm.
sure, and I also care about them as a group of people. I really want to communicate that. And how does that feel when you come from it from that perspective?
Oh yeah, that feels much more comfortable. Yeah,
Yeah,
more
and
authentic to me.
and just, and it's almost, Michael, I mean, it's, you could even come from it from a point of view, like you're almost sacrificing yourself
Mm,
to be the representative. It's sort of like the unwilling prophet.
mm, mhm,
Sometimes I see myself as that. I'm like, if no impact, if everyone was perfectly well fed, perfectly creative, perfectly able to manifest anything in their life, why do I need to be out there? I don't need to be out there. Why?
yeah,
Right? I prefer
yeah,
privacy personally, right? I don't want all
yeah.
these people looking at me. It's like, what's the point of that?
No,
Like, I'm not pretty. I'm not, especially handsome. There's much prettier people to look at. Why you would look at me? It's like
yeah,
I'm the unwilling prophet. I'm like, there's nobody else saying the kind of thing I want to say, so I better say it. And
yeah,
in your
yeah.
industry, there's almost no other man doing the work that you're doing.
No,
So you are
no.
you are kind of the unwilling prophet for
Mm.
your niche.
Well, the company, and the woman that I've been working for, like I'm, been contracted by them, so I work
Yes,
independently. But
yes,
I'm, effectively, I'm their head facilitator. That's the title they've given to me,
amazing.
and I was the very first, and so I train other people now,
Right.
for her.
Yes,
And
yes.
she, and she kind of said to me, she said, well, you know, I'd really like you to step out into the light,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I'd like you to be, the kind of the other face of my company,
Wow, wow,
and you
yeah,
need to charge more. So I want you to charge more. I
yeah,
want you to be at the top
yeah,
of,
yeah.
I want you to be right out there.
Yeah, and that's a different
Um,
issue. But yeah,
yeah,
being the face of the company depends. I mean, for me, I would always keep coming back to the intention. Like, what is the intention? Will
yeah,
it be something I can put heart and warmth and will it really serve the end audience for me to be the face of the company? Is it helpful to them? And if so, and I thank you, Shay, for putting it in the chat here, taking one for the team.
yeah,
It's kind of, it's like, yeah. So, but I so appreciate you bringing this up because I know a
yeah.
lot
No,
of
thank you.
people who are watching this are uncomfortable with that idea because especially they see the influencers kind of flaunting
Hmm.
themselves and
Hmm.
almost having lost that sensitivity. And we got to be careful because there is a spectrum here. On the one end of the spectrum, we don't want to, I guess, maybe put ourselves down too much or like say, oh, I don't want anyone to see me. Um, it's kind of like overly humble, if that's such a thing.
Hmm.
And on the other hand of the spectrum, people who like, yeah, I'm the best. I'm the, you gotta look at
Hmm.
me. It's almost becomes almost like psychopathic at some point or
Hmm.
sociopathic. You kind of lose the sensitivity towards social and emotional intelligence and spiritual intelligence, we might say.
Yeah,
So so it's
yeah.
it's how do we find that middle way where we are taking one for the team in a way that's like, it's like it's like not my will, but thy will be done, thy meaning
Hmm.
source
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the spirit, the greater spirit that wants to work through us. I'm just an instrument. I'm just an
yeah,
instrument. I'm just a
yeah,
channel. It's not about me. It's about the greater message or the deeper
yeah.
love that I have within me to want to share, you know.
Yeah, and that's why I've been here. I think it's been about a year and a half now, when I first encountered your work. And that's why I stay here, because
Yeah.
I get that. That's
Yeah.
exactly, what I hope to kind of really integrate into my work as well. That
Beautiful.
really resonates with me.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I do think it is, feel free to take it more gradually,
Hmm.
it's kind of like if you just go out there too suddenly and you kind of, it's too shocking and
Hmm.
the word integrating is the right word. You kind of like integrate a little bit more, being out there, a little bit more being out there until you can find your way into it with continually carrying your heart and your
Hmm.
care and coming back again and again to say that's why, this is the reason, it's not about me. So thank you,
Hmm.
Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks.